Hi, I'm Amberly, and welcome to Transmuting Chaos. And today we have Lee with us. Hi, Lee.
How you doing? Good, thanks.
Good.
Are you?
And we don't really have a topic necessarily. We just wanted to kind of talk today and thought that we would record it too. So, Lee, you're in the UK, right?
Yeah. Northwest UK.
Yeah. And he's like right by the ocean, gets to go hang out there all the time. I'm so jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a
But
seabird.
we were just kind of going into radiation and etymology of words and different topics. We probably should have pressed record, but um, okay. So what I was wanting to show is okay. Shoot, no, dang it. Sorry. I need to share my screen real quick. Was that sharing the screen the whole time?
It's on my side, yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no, do you mean the document thing?
Um.
That wasn't there.
Oh, okay. Good.
No, that wasn't there.
Okay. So now I need to find. Sorry, you guys. I just messed up my whole entire thing here. I had my Gmail to get this going, and now.
The gremlins coming out in it every time.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the brain fog has been unbelievable lately.
Yeah, I've been feeling it bad lately. Triggers all over the place. Mental blocks, brain fog, the whole lot. It's becoming
You crack
really.
me up all the time because, yeah, you can feel it when they're about to fuck with you, and it's like,
Yeah, you do. You feel it. You feel it before it happens, and then you predictably get it right when they do.
oh
So
yeah.
predictable, so predictable. I mean, you don't know what they're going to do, but you always feel that something's coming. I do. It's been really ramping up lately. I've been feeling a
And
lot.
it's like even more annoying because you know that it's going to happen, and I don't know.
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, so, well, what started me kind of down this etymology rabbit hole the other day was Jelani. He sent me a decode for 420.
Yeah,
And can you see that?
just put my glasses on.
Is it sharing it though?
Yeah. I can see that up on the screen now.
Okay, so he did this 420 decode, and I saw this new Aeon in you.
All right, yeah.
And so I went and looked up what new means. And I have to get to another screen. Sorry, guys. It means it's the 13th letter of the Greek alphabet,
Yeah.
transliterated as N symbol. Nu is sometimes confused with G and U. So it's the 13th aeon, and that's the demiurge. 13 is like the matrix number,
Yeah.
but
So is this the time that we're in now? Is this sort of stating that the era of time that we're in now? Is that what it's getting at?
well, I think it means that it's like the Russian nesting doll kind of thing, like a 13th dimension.
Ah, right. Yeah, that like through the layers. Like,
Right.
yeah,
But it's just
yeah,
time encapsulated. Like the
yeah. No, I'm with you.
aeons, the way I've always seen it is like the aeons were separate spheres that would work together. And
Yeah,
each one had a different, like either music, art style, whatever, and they would like
yeah,
commingle and create together. Well, here
yeah.
here they're encased and aren't able to break free. And
So each one's like locked within its place with the other one surrounding it, and each one can't surpass past the next sort of level. Is that what you mean?
right. And if you
Yeah.
see, you know how I've showed a couple times on here. Where did I'm really having problems today.
We're being messed with, aren't we? So these are
I've posted like the picture of the flower of life, you know,
yeah, yeah.
with the lion dragon's foot on it.
Oh, yeah, but it stood up with its paw over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and how it says that Earth is the demiurge's footstool. Well,
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
that's because it's encasing this place.
So
And
is that what the grids are essentially? Are the grids just something, the barriers that are stopping things from moving from one layer to another?
see the grids, yeah, but they're also for information to like travel.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, just like
yeah,
an electric wire. It's just like that.
yeah. Like a conduit.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And then Israel, it's like L is
yeah,
Ra. So it's
yeah,
radiation and electricity. So the electromagnetism.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard that actually. Yeah,
Hmm. But where was
yeah. It
that?
runs deep, doesn't it? Especially when you go into the etymology of everything.
It does.
Everything's so meticulously encoded. It amazes me. I mean, whoever's created all this and whatever, one thing they've been clever to some level because it's just everything adds up to such an absolute significant,
Well,
specific.
I'll go into kind of what I think happened. Because if you look into holograms and how they're made,
Yeah,
it kind of shows like how the true light is outside of here, but even that is not what I would consider God. Like God, you cannot put anything, any kind of definition on it, or it wouldn't
no,
exist, right?
no.
So, but radiation, like if you look, hold on, let me,
So saying that like radiation is the inverted God, so to speak, ultimately, and the electromagnetism.
well, it's a ray of it.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So,
yeah,
radiation, the emission of energy as electromagnetic waves or as moving subatomic particles, especially high energy particles, which cause ionization. So, ion is the movement, right?
yeah, yeah,
And that's what the demiurge does. It's always trying to make us do something
yeah,
because it's pushing this script, which is
yeah,
coming through the planets. And I'll
yeah,
show that in a second too.
yeah.
But biology is divergence out from a central point and particular evolution from an ancestral animal or plant group into a variety of new forms. And
Uh,
that is interesting to me because Anunnaki, and there again you have the new and Anunnaki.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's all so tightly wrapped up together, isn't it?
yeah. And Anunnaki in Arabic means grandmother, and Naki means grandfather. Still to this day, it means ancestors.
Ah, right. So that's the basis of what that means. Yeah, I've only heard brief stuff about the Anunnaki. I've never gone really deep into it. But I've always known it must be obviously there's deep meaning behind all of it.
Right. So the biology of the word radiation, divergence out from a central point, in particular, evolution from an ancestral animal or plant group into a variety of new forms.
Uh,
So, I think like our outer, again, it's like the radiation coming through with this information that's just encapsulated in here. And I feel like
Yeah.
the AI is running on a program of a memory that we've had. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 It
So,
makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
um,
So is it like it's got itself stuck in like a perpetual loop?
yeah, and it doesn't know how to stop. And like what we were talking about the other day,
Yeah.
and that brings in the 137 I'll go into here in a second. But what we were talking about the other day, like how you feel that urge to do something and it's more than an urge, or you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
this like fear out of nowhere, or like a feeling like you want to go drink or do something.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. And it does every bit feel external, like we were saying.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's
the
not,
only
huh?
sorry. No, so yeah, the only thing how I feel it goes is that, so say you get an urge to have a drink, every bit feels external because the real you feels like the guilt and the, oh, should I really do this? But then it messes with your emotions. So you'll link it back to memories of when you enjoyed having a drink in the sun with your friends or whatever.
Yep.
So it's like then the emotions take over. So it's like a whole thing going on. But it
Yeah.
definitely starts externally for definite. There is something pushing us into these situations: drugs, drink, sex, gambling,
Yep.
spending money, wanting to do people over to earn more money. It doesn't matter, anything it's definitely always feels like it's coming from the outside for definite.
And that's
Like you said.
because this false creator is addicted. It's addicted to us.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
what it.
wants to make us do something and make us keep feeling attached or guilt or
Yeah,
bound to this place.
yeah, and I think the fear and the guilt are big things because they always seem to play a part with these things.
Mm-hmm.
While you're deciding to do it, and definitely afterwards, and
And that's,
shame, guilt, fear, they're all big players.
well, and it
The-
keeps you worshiping and looking outside of you to something else to forgive you and to
Yeah,
give
yeah.
you, oh, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Uh,
Like you're okay, like approval. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean. See, I've got a mental block on lately, the past
I
couple of
can't
days.
stand it.
I know what you mean. I know what word you try to think of, but I nearly had it then.
But the first
Forgot, but
time, I remember like the first time that I really felt this creep into me was when I was around 5 and I thought about death for the first time.
yeah,
And it just shattered like everything in me, like my entire nervous system. And that's like another thing where if you look into the Nag Hammadi, it says that our nervous system is fashioned by the demiurge.
yeah, which totally makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, and then you and I were talking about that, like this crystalline.
yeah,
That's what our nodes in our body, like our neurons, that's what they're
yeah,
made out of.
yeah,
And they're in a let me, I probably need to send this, but I made a post about this, like how our inner ear crystals are in a hexagon shape. Well, that is what
yeah,
Saturn is too. And you can see like Saturn has that same like crystalline energetic fluid, like a plasma, and it's
yeah,
attached to us. I mean, it is feeding us all of our senses.
yeah. I've heard that before. I've heard, is it something about the 7 rings of Saturn? Each one of them rings is attached to the 7 chakras. I've heard that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So each one's pulling and pushing information to the chakras, and then
Well, and
something to the. Sorry.
I think I think that's all artificial, don't you? Like that it's not
Yeah,
supposed to be attached to any like
yeah,
those
yeah,
cords.
definitely. Well, I've heard. Obviously, we can't prove any of this stuff, but I watched like a 2-hour seminar a couple of years ago, and a guy was explaining all about how the rings didn't. He said that the rings didn't originally used to be around Saturn. They were put there by whatever force put them there for the reason of connecting to our chakras and controlling us through that on the moon. He talked about that and the Saturn moon matrix, the control system of it all. And then obviously you've got all the other planets apparently playing their part in the control system, the script running of the script. But it does make it does make more sense than anything else.
Yeah. Well, when I first had my Kundalini, it was like every time I would listen to music, all of my chakras would start playing, but it felt like very robotic. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I had a robot inside of me. And but I think our organs, from when we're like in our light body, our true form, I feel like our organs are really musical. Like they're not supposed to be harnessed like this.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And that projected
sound and frequency in it. Everything's sound and frequency, so it makes sense that they would that they were meant to be like that without any attachments on harnessing them.
Right. And I don't think we even had language. I think that that's like a spell. I think that we like literally projected our essence.
Yeah.
From our eyes.
Absolutely. Language, it's an imprisonment in itself, this language, isn't it? But we're stuck because obviously we don't have any other verbal way of being able to communicate. And they know that. So I think that's one of the big ways they've got us spellbound in it through the entire language.
Yep.
There's no way around it.
If you think about it, I mean, that's like humanity's worst weapon is our words, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And we can see that big time with the internet. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
It's way worse, like when people they aren't feeling you, and you can't like really feel somebody. That's why, people get so attached to all these people on TV, and I'm like, you're seeing them through the black screen. You're seeing what they want you to see at the angle that they want you to see it.
Exactly. There's nothing real about it. It's sterile.
No.
There's no emotion. There's no real attachment or connection with anybody. But people do. They get drawn and addicted to what these fools on the internet are saying. Like with the video you sent me with it, like the thing about Jake and Logan Paul. I mean, they're just two of the biggest minion puppets. I was laughing at them anyway, but the guy that you sent me, he rightfully mocks them for everything that they are.
He's hilarious. But then I'm like, I don't know about that guy either. Like, he has that pandering on.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
But that's how they do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, they show you, but it's just such a stupid game. I'm like, this is
ridiculous. It is. It's just a big carnival.
It is.
Yeah.
But, oh, yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to show you on this. I'm glad that you brought up that guy, because his name's Sewer King, and he is hilarious.
Yeah.
If you guys want to check him out.
Yeah, I watched a few of it today. He's entertaining to watch for sure, and he picks up some really valid points, but obviously puts that little comedy edge to it. But really, he's digging at the truth. That's what I like.
Dude, he gets some stuff where I'm like, how did you even like? I don't know. He had this one where like Tyson was talking to somebody, and he stood up, and the way that the microphone was, it was like, it looked like his penis or something. And then there's like these graphics in the background, and I'm like, how did you have to go frame by frame by frame? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he picks out some good stuff and tears it apart.
But he was saying like Logan Paul and that other, like, all these people are like, oh my God, they invented this prime drink and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the Nag Hammadi, it says the demiurge is the prime parent.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that until you mentioned it the other day. I wasn't aware of that, but it all makes sense when you think about it.
Oh, well, he's all into numbers and shapes. I mean, that's what it is. It creates from numbers and shapes.
Yeah. Mm.
But he was saying no, a company called Congo Brands.
That's right, yeah.
did that. So I don't, every time I get this, like I get this push in my script or whatever to just go look things up. And I was like, I'm going to look that up. And hold on, let me see it. But anyways, here it says the different brands that it has are Prime, Alani New, and 3D Energy. So yeah, all of those. And then I looked up what Alani meant. Hold on, where is that at? And it means origin and popularity. Alani is a baby girl name for a number of meanings, including Orange Tree, Handsome, Harmony, Little Rock, and Deer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's what that meant. And then, but the new, there you go again, like with the 13 and the Prime and Energy and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can just see the script and everything.
Oh yeah, so predictable. And when I know he was sort of joking about it, but when he was saying it's turning everyone gay.
No, that's not a joke. That is seriously,
yeah. Well, that's what I was just gonna say. I don't think there's any joke in it. I mean, I've nothing against. I'm not bashing on any sexual
I know that you're
preference.
not. I know what you mean.
But the fact of the matter is, I think it's a known thing. Ever since all these chemical cocktails and drinks and foods have been put around, there's been a massive increase in it. And clearly it's not a natural part of the human condition.
And this is the thing that people need to really look into MK Ultra for, is because MK Ultra, what they do with frequencies and this chemical, they're inverting nature. That's all that. They're a bunch of Satanists and scientists sound very similar for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and definitely. Around like World War II, I think they started doing some major black magic, chemically. But even before that, MK Ultra affects DNA 3 generations, and that's proven. Like it's proven that major trauma like affects 3 generations of front and back.
Yeah.
So to sit there and say that this was all natural from the very beginning is not right.
Yeah.
It's not correct.
No, it's not at all. I remember hearing about even because I used to drink Mountain Dew, and I remember reading up on I can't remember exactly, but I think it damages a man's sperm count or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little bit of research, and it appears that there was some quite official research done about it. It actually does. There was an ingredient, I think it was the colour that they put in it or something, but there was something that to like lower the sperm count. And I think I even read something about it that Mountain Dew itself, that did something for like sexuality. I just obviously I stopped drinking it straight away when I found that out. But
right.
So they've been doing this for a while, haven't they? They're doing it with all these different Monster, all these energy drinks, and all these kind of satanic filth that they have on the market.
And the bad thing is, like, they know that they can't they can't do anything, like, as far as our medical procedures go. They know that that's the whole thing, is to make people identify as something, want to be it so bad, and be so miserable with who they are.
Exactly.
They go into AI so that you can be whatever you want. You can have any type of baby. You can be anything that you could ever even imagine, you know?
We can see this unfolding all the time, this agenda. I remember, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I remember I had a friend who was telling me about all this. This was before I really got into all the conspiracies and stuff. Half of it was true, some of it wasn't. But pretty much everything that he was telling me about then, which I didn't really believe him at the time, I've watched it all unfold, literally just unroll out. So the scary thing about that is it's true. So you can then sort of pretty much see the end point of where they're going with this, and it's frighteningly on track with what they want to do. I would imagine they're pretty much where they want to be at the moment, or it seems that way. Everything from all the obvious stuff like the cashless systems to the the medications they wanted to give certain, everybody, and the trans movement and all this kind of stuff. It's all unfolding
And
exactly as it was.
that's the important thing, I think, for people to understand why, like, dropping belief and everything
Yeah, yeah,
to affect this algorithm. Like, we don't want to give it any energy that it doesn't deserve. You know what I mean? Like, you can't
yeah.
ignore things. I tried
No,
ignoring for years and it did not work. You know what I
no.
mean? And you can't ignore it, but we can change the algorithm by speaking honestly and being
Yeah,
genuine, because that's the only thing
definitely.
that affects it.
Exactly. Well, we're talking about this, isn't it? I mean, I'm not telling any secrets by saying, but we know everything in this realm is completely belief based, and it gets taken to the absolute extreme, which is
Yeah,
when you think about it, that's what's wrong with the entire world. If everybody just, I mean, who really knows what absolute truth is? But we can certainly go by what we experience to be at least the real that we perceive as real. And when you boil it down to that, it's never really anything other than belief. But everything's belief based.
well, and that's what you and I talk about quite a bit, is like, what truth are people trying to find here by searching through all these videos and all that stuff, which
Yeah,
it's interesting, don't get me wrong, but when you're in a realm of lies, there is no
yeah,
truth, except for you have to find who you are and that part of you that never
yeah,
changes. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Exactly. I think that's it. The only real truth is, as cheesy as it might sound, the only real truth is deep inside yourself. But you've got to cut all the attachments to everything externally to even get near to going on the journey to find the
Right.
inner real truth. I know through my experience that's how it's been. I've cut off the
And I
attachments to most things in my life to even get to where I'm at now, and it's not easy.
No, it's not. And I was thinking in the shower earlier, I was like, because I was thinking of the radiation and
Yeah,
how that is just a ray of light. So there's a light out of here
yeah,
that's actually like, it's like an eye, right? Like an inverted
yeah,
eye.
yeah, yeah,
And we're the projection, the dream.
yeah,
But I was thinking about like God and how you can't, people are like, God is the light. Well, no, it's not, because you know what? You are that eternal part of you that is still there, even when you're completely unconscious, even when you're in the dark and there's nothing, nobody else around, or any, that part of you, that is God. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, definitely. It's everything in the external is I mean, it's been said a billion times before, but we know now at this point that everything we've ever been told, it's all inverted. Everything's inverted, and at the very least, it's severely twisted and warped. And like you just said, I don't think there is any real. I don't think you'll find any real truth externally ever. You know yourself, even when you're on this journey, you're trying to find out things. You end up going down rabbit holes, making yourself dizzy, chasing your tail. You come out of that, then you go down another one, and you think you're a little bit closer to the truth, and you go down another one. It's just this endless, perpetual cycle of going down these dead-ended rabbit holes until eventually it forces you to go inside yourself, but you also have to cut the attachment off to all of these external things, all these belief systems, all these things they want us to be dependent on, addictions and everything. It's the whole dopamine trap that they have us stuck in, which is
Right.
it only ever has us searching for things that does us damage, even if it's a shopping addiction or a gambling addiction. It doesn't matter what it is. Thoughts become even dopamine hunting, scrolling on social media. They're just all they've got people at every single corner they turn. They've got people hooked on all these horrific dopamine. I think it seems quite an evil thing, dopamine, and yet we feel depressed when we feel deficient in it.
I think all of these chemicals are evil. Like, I think this
Yeah,
body is evil.
yeah. The whole thing. It's a cell that we're trapped in, isn't it?
I was thinking about Jesus today too, and like how I really do think if he was an actual real being,
Yeah,
which I think it's like part of the script, but that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. If he was part of
yeah,
this, if he came into this construct, I think that he came from outside of here.
yeah,
And um, the Cathars thought that he was a hologram because of everything that he was able to do.
yeah, which would
And
make
that
sense.
and that
Yeah,
he was perfect and did not have like sexual relations or anything. And that would be because he didn't have that chemical change when he was um, going through puberty, because
yeah,
that's when we lose our innocence. You know what I mean?
yeah. I never thought about that, but it totally makes sense. Yeah, because
Hmm.
if you're not in a human, well, didn't the Gnostics believe, or in that wasn't their view on Jesus that he was just a spirit, that he didn't exist as a physical being? Don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, their take was that he was here as a spirit.
yeah.
So,
And he was
which
able to like, it was like he was able to gather the dimensions
yeah,
into one. Like when he multiplied the fish and all of that, it was like he was, because it's like a movie reel, you know what I mean? Like there
yeah,
are layers and layers and layers, and it was like he was able to grab all of those and put them into one and
yeah,
just, be able to do whatever he wanted or stop it, like when he walked on water. I think that
yeah.
this place is actually, I don't think water is what we think it is, number one.
Oh, definitely.
And I
Yeah,
think that this original like material is like a clay material, because there's also a story about him blowing life into a clay pigeon and it became real.
yeah. Ah,
And I've noticed like when I was like little and I would be on the back of my stepdad's boat, whenever we would get to a certain speed on the boat,
yeah,
the water would start to look like clay, like exactly like clay. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So I would lay back there and watch it all the time, but it was only at a certain speed.
yeah, yeah. With the movement.
Yeah.
Ah, it's interesting. Well,
Hmm.
they say we all came from mud and dust and earth, didn't they? And clay's obviously the densest part. Well, not the maybe not the densest, but it's a very dense part of the earth, isn't it?
Well, and if you think about it, if it had like all of the elements that create life or whatever, you know what I mean? Like the nutrients, like in this
Yeah,
clay substance, and then got shocked with radiation or something. I
yeah.
don't know. I have no idea, but there's I don't know if you've ever seen that movie What Dreams May Come. Have you seen that?
No, no, I've seen that.
Oh my gosh, you have to see it. Not because it's a great movie, but there's parts in it that make me feel like that was home, like so
Is it a
much.
re? Is it a recent film? Is it?
No, let me see if I can find that part. Hold on one second. Um, it's with Robin Williams,
Oh
and
yeah,
he dies and he goes to heaven,
yeah,
and it's like a painting, like, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's
Oh, do you mean like heaven's portrayed as a painting?
yeah.
Ah, right.
Hold on, let me play it. Where are you at now? Hold on.
Well, it's like that thing with the imagination, isn't it? Like all artwork and all everything like that comes. I've got a feeling that the ultimate God is the imagination, one way or another.
Well, I know that we are artists, like,
Yeah,
um, that our essence is just completely amazing. And I've had a lot of little glimpses to it. And that's what I hope that we get soon. Like, I was talking to Mikkel about this yesterday, about how a lot of men are being um, blocked from that, like the
yeah,
astral and stuff like that. And I think it's because it's certain types of men that would not put up with this crap.
yeah. Well, now you say it, I mean, you don't hear of many men when you're looking around. You don't really many men getting onto the astrals. I'd never thought about it until you mentioned it the other day. But it is normally females that seem to be able to travel. So it does make sense that they're being blocked out, unless you're getting into altered states of consciousness or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Here, I want to show you this one part.
If she didn't paint. Like that bird.
And he gave you a start, sort of like holding on to handrails. Now you're creating an entire world here from your imagination, from paintings you love, anything you want.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
But he walks through it and you can like see the paint going everywhere. Yeah, like that.
I love it.
You're the painter now. It's your world.
Anyway, yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I didn't. What's it called?
It's called What Dreams May Come.
What Dreams May Come. I'll have to get that checked out. Looks good.
And his wife, she commits suicide. I won't tell you the whole story, but she commits suicide and she's like in this hell of her own mind.
Yeah.
Because she was so attached to this world.
Yeah.
And the trauma and everything. So it's like, it's very philosophical and just kind of showing you like, you need to get rid of that stuff now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the inner work.
Well, I've told you, like when I'm in altered states, some of the art, I never know if it's coming from the external or within inside me, but there's some of the creative artwork that I see. I could never imagine it. Well, obviously, maybe it is me imagining it, but it's just absolutely so intricate. Colours that I mean, I think I've said this to you before, but I've seen colours there that don't that I've never seen in this reality. But then how do you explain a colour that nobody's ever seen before? Because you can't say it's like blue or it's like red. So, but these vivid colours and the shapes and it's not just about shapes and colours. It's the things that, like I seen this machine once, and it was made out of all colours and shapes and stuff, but it was doing this incredibly complex mechanical thing. I didn't know what it was doing. I was just staring at it. But the thing is, where's this coming from? You know, and what is it? Is it being projected at me, or am I projecting it myself? Because this is with my eyes closed as well. So,
and what's its purpose? Like,
yeah,
like you and I were talking about the other day, like hallucinating.
Yeah.
I don't think, people make it sound like it's just like this delusional chemical imbalance thing, and it definitely is not. I mean, I feel the most at home in that kind of state.
Yeah, me too.
Don't have the mind fuck thing going on.
Yeah, me too. I do. I feel more like whatever myself really would be, and I also feel incredible, euphoric, but not in an ego way, or in a content and all-knowing. And when I'm in them states, I'm an overthinker, like a lot of people are, and the mental chatter shuts up. I don't particularly think. I just know for at least the time while I'm there. But yeah, I see these weird mechanical things and octopuses, like these mechanical octopuses. I mean, they're supposedly bad symbols out of the octopus. They use them.
Yeah.
And spiders and stuff. And I've seen them, so that might be something external. But they all sort of infiltrate into this like artwork, if you will, this moving artwork. But it's coming from somewhere. I mean, that's more vivid and real than anything I've ever experienced in this waking life when I'm in those altered states. So there's something to it that they don't obviously want us to know, obviously. But,
and much deeper. And
yeah,
that's the whole thing. Like, it's so annoying to hear, people. Like, I watch Joe Rogan sometimes just because I like to get my
me too
off of crap. Not because I'm like looking for information, but he always is talking about, oh, AI, the super intelligence that, you know, we're bound to intertwine with it. And I'm like, you're an idiot, because
Yeah.
we are so amazing and we have not had the chance to explore that. And it's obvious that we are like the super intelligence that they're trying to keep us from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's all piggybacked off us anyway, isn't it? Everything that's created by AI. So
Yeah,
it's,
but that's more like the body and how it's fashioned. And
yeah,
I really want to make a video soon about that. I've been trying to go like explain it on Twitter, which is really hard. But the way that our body is created from the very beginning is to interact with this AI.
yeah, yeah,
So that isn't, it's like, you know, it's just kind of, I think it shows us in different ways, like whatever time period we're in, it'll show us what we are in that way. Like,
yeah,
we're just seeing how we came into the AI like in a different time.
yeah,
I see it like a regenesis.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does. It all fits. Well, it all just works together, doesn't it? It's designed. Yeah, this body. It's another big question, isn't it? I mean, who really designed this body? Because it's set up to make us suffer. It's set up to work perfectly with this whole system, this whole external system, and you feel like the true you deep inside seems to be at conflict with it all the time, and even at conflict with every part of what the body does. From the minute you're born to when you grow old and you start ailing, pain. There's the emotional side, every little bit of all the physical aspects of suffering. It's not for our benefit, and it just doesn't benefit us, does it?
No.
So
And the amount of time that we live is like very suspicious, because it's almost set to a time where you are never able to quite get
yeah, you're fully there.
right.
Yeah,
Like you're always preoccupied by something at that stage in your life. And then by the time that you get enough wisdom to actually put it all together, then you start having to deal with your health,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah, it's just enough time, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got obviously certain scripts running in people's lives that get them out of here when they get to a certain point,
Mm-hmm.
which sort of makes you wonder. It's all probably predestined and pre-scripted.
Yeah. But you know, like the whole annihilist thing is not, I think we have to seriously get to a point where we do not idle. That's the whole thing. We have to take the energy away from this thing that it feeds off of. And
Yeah,
what it feeds off of is our guilt, shame, idolization, and worship.
yeah, yeah. Every little bit of it, and that's
And
what everything's designed to do.
yeah,
It's all we get bombarded with.
but some
And then,
people are like, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't bring kids into this world. Well, people that are awake, that's not ever going to stop, just because, you know, like our bodies were not designed to even know about this from the very beginning. You know what I mean? And that's
no, that's
all that I wanted. I wanted kids, like I've been talking to my children in my mind, like in very deep ways since I was little. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I talk to them as much as I have God through my life.
yeah,
And I just feel like we don't even know how many souls are forced to come here.
no,
So
but that's it. We don't,
yeah.
and there's like there's a resistance because it's like my daughter's one's 23-year-old and the other one's soon to be 18. And I've tried and tried and tried and tried. They're both clever girls. They've both got, they're not stupid, but there's this like, it's almost like a force field. They will not, even with everything I tell them, not to preach to them, but just to set them up by the mistakes I've made and to try and warn them what really is going on. But it's like there's a force field there. They will not absorb it.
That's with
So,
everybody. And
yeah,
everybody I'm close to is like that. But I think that's the whole point, is that it's your spirit that you have to get out of
yeah,
here. And they are part
yeah,
of your spirit.
yeah.
So it's not, I don't see my kids like, oh, I try to tell, it's really hard to describe these things because people think that you're being like arrogant. Like when you say, oh, we're spirited beings, I see it as like the Wizard of Oz. Like
Yeah.
everybody here is like a different kind of character than we are out of
Yeah.
here. And it's only like a part of all of us, but it's obvious like we are drawn to seek and to go through this. We've given up
Yeah.
basically the material life completely
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah, it's definitely, it feels at this point that it's definitely like a solo journey as well. You can't give it to anybody else. You can't give your wisdom and what you've been through so far. And it comes a point you have to let go of the attachment and just sort of let them get on with it and just help people if you get a chance to. Because I don't know about you, but I used to be kicked in the ass all the time when I try and people, like you say, people think you're being big-headed and arrogant. And you're just trying to educate people, and you realise you can't unless somebody gravitates towards you naturally, and it's their time to.
Right.
So you realise it really is you're on your own, generally speaking.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
And like that takes away from it anyways when you really put in so much to try and wake other people up. Like on my channel, I like that I only have, that I have a small channel because I would not want to like go through all of the comments, you know what I mean? And just everything that it takes away from what you're doing internally anyway.
And it's just draining as well. It really drains you, don't it, when you try and
and then the agents come out and they fuck with you. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Trolls and it does seem that the majority of people, not saying they're all bad people, but I know, well, in my life, pretty much everyone I'm surrounded by, even the people who I thought were pretty actualized and aware and awakened, turned out not to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The whole time in 2020 that kicked off really shone a light on all that for me. There was I could trust for a long time, and I've just cut ties with everybody now because I don't know if they were fake or they were agents or what, but there's not really anybody I know close by to me that's fully awake, so to speak. So,
yeah, well, the more and more that you wake up, it's like your outer world becomes so small. Like
it does. It really does.
It's almost suffocating.
It does. You just become more reclusive. I've become, but happier in doing it. And I think it's like a well-documented fact in this sort of small community of us is the more actualized you become, the more you see through the illusion of everything. When everything is an illusion, is that you get pushed further away from all those people, and probably for good reason, really, because it doesn't work, does it? It's like two magnets repelling each other. You just can't have a normal connection with people like that once you get to a certain point, and then they deem you as being crazy and
yeah. And then when you like what you were talking about, like I don't want to talk about where you said it, but when you tell people like I'm not putting up with this place and all freaking into it, or if it comes to that, like I've set my boundary on the kind of shit that I'm going to deal with, and then after that I won't do it anymore.
Absolutely.
And people just think that you are absolutely insane, like you're trying to start a cult, and I'm like, I'm not taking, I don't want, I wouldn't even tell anybody, but I have a certain threshold that I've put on myself that I will not, because I love and care for myself and other people around me, and I don't want to put them through me going through that either.
No,
you know what I mean?
You have to start being tough and loving on yourself, because the only thing you've got at you at the end of the day.
And I really do love myself. Like I wish that there were more people like us. You know what I mean? Like I found that part that I always really liked, but when you say that out loud, people are like, "Oh, you're so egotistical." And it's like, no, we're trained to like think that loving ourselves is vanity, and it's not.
Well, it's taken out of context, isn't it? When People get the wrong idea. It's totally taken out of context. But you only really learn to love yourself anyway when you're forced to this situation and isolating yourself away from the majority of the toxicity from the external surroundings, you know, and the people and stupid stuff on the internet and everything. You have to cut the attachments to all of that stuff before you even start to.
I think it's weird too. Like, I don't know if you noticed this, but I hardly ever look in the mirror. Like, I got ready today, but I hardly ever look in the mirror except for like when I'm like in the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah, me too. I can't. There's something a bit spine chilling about it. Creeps me out.
That. It's like, and it's not that I'm getting older or anything like that. It's just that I am not obsessed with my body, my human body anymore. And I used to like really, you know, kind of be obsessed, like checking makeup and, you know, like a girl.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's just weird that goes away like completely.
Yeah, it does. It just fades, it evaporates. It starts to evaporate with all the other as you progress through the journey, doesn't it?
Which also makes me wonder, like, in our true form, like, do we even see ourselves? You know what I mean? Like,
it's an interesting point, that.
Because I've wondered, care about it the more that you're awake. Like, it doesn't matter what you. It's not that you don't care about what you look like or how you carry yourself. It's just that you're not.
Yeah, well, I've thought about this myself. It's an interesting. When everything is dissolved, I suppose the ultimate thing to let go of eventually is yourself, as in your body, when the time comes. But so beyond that, I mean, do we even have a face and a body? As it even, you know, even in an energetic form, it's what are we then? Because by that point, you've gone through all the detaching from everything. And to go through that journey, you've had to do that to get to that point. So it'd be interesting to see how we look at how we even see ourselves, or how other entities and energies see us as well. I mean, will they see us as we perceive ourselves, or
Well, that's probably when they can't see, you know, like you're not even in their field because you don't have a form, like, you know.
Yeah.
But like you and I were talking about, like, this whole organic construct and how people think that that's like how it's supposed to be. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. I feel like it's supposed to be spirit creating whatever it wants to create and truly being free.
Yeah, definitely.
Because none of these bodies make sense. Like, it does not make sense for animals to be here and just like giving birth and dying. My cat, when she went into heat, that really like, since I had woken up, you know, like I was starting to at that time, it really like hit me like how cruel this is.
Yeah, it is.
You know
It's just sadistic. It's totally. Well, yeah, it's the same with my dog. If she comes in to heat like twice a year, and she's just miserable. She's such a sprightly dog normally, and we're now considering getting her neutered just to save her. And I don't agree with that either. But it's just like, well, what's the lesser of the evil? She's suffering. We're never going to breed her, so.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
I agree with. I mean, if I had a choice, I wouldn't do either. But I think that it is really cruel for them to have to go through that time. You know what I mean?
It is. I agree completely. It's just pure suffering. Well, I read somewhere over the years that at one point in time, apparently, that even human women didn't go through menstrual cycles anywhere near as frequently. Apparently, it used to be something like, I can't remember the time, but something like once a year. Yeah. But you can't help thinking there's some truth behind that, because obviously the amount of suffering and all the negative emotions that come with it and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it makes sense to me. And it also makes sense because of how much they've jacked up the calendar. Like, if we didn't have that mentally in our head, I feel like our body would be completely on a different.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's all in sync with whatever's controlling us. It's all. But it's just the amount of suffering that's caused through all this stuff. It only benefits one system, and it's not the system we would want.
No.
So
And I was looking up like entrapment the other day, and that this is like a soul entrapment. It's not like a trap. It's like an entrapment because you're not told or given, the correct information.
No.
You're set up to go and do these things, and it's not
Exactly
what you would ever do given a choice. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Isn't it funny how we always have to do everything wrong that affects us? It's not the other way around, where we're told everything to do that's right and that'll benefit us. But if we want to do something wrong, it's up to us. We're deliberately led down these horrific traps, all the trappings of addiction and sadistic behaviors, and led into people that are going to affect our lives negatively and all kinds of stuff like that. It's completely set up against us.
And the amount of interference, like I'm not even just talking about the things that we can't see. Our bodies are literally blocked from this light spectrum that would change our reality completely, which I hope starts. Oh, that's another thing that I wanted to go into. But the whole thing is like even our genes, everything is stacked up so far against us, and the MK Ultra, all of this shit. And I talk about like it's not really human beings' fault, and people are like, "Oh, you're trying to take the response." No, I'm not. Like I have dealt with this shit. Like I don't, there's only a few people that I know that have like done inner work at this amount and for this many years.
Yeah.
So I don't, I just can't even listen to that shit anymore. But there's so much stacked up against us even before we're born.
Yeah.
That
yeah, exactly. We're born into it. Born into a pile of crap, aren't we, from the minute we come out?
And people are like, "Oh, well, you have this devil and this God in your head." No, I don't. Like seriously, I do not. I don't want to hurt anything. I don't want to hurt myself. I've never like been violent, and I don't like this place. Like, period.
Exactly. I've had people say that to me. Like, "Will you do this?" I said, "Look, I don't have any problem. If I knew 100% that the wrong, bad decisions that I made were completely me." In fact, I have years ago when I did used to think it was all my own self doing it. I'd pour me out and always be the first to apologize and call myself an imbecile, a fool. But I now know that it isn't. I have no problem with blaming myself if I knew it was me. I did used to think it was me that was causing all these problems in my life, and then they'd cause problems for other people around me. But I now know differently. It's not us. It's absolutely not us. And for all the people that are not even aware about this, it's a shame that they don't know, because it's the biggest thing in it. People, they blame themselves, they carry the guilt, and that consumes you, that energy. And it stays within you. It has to find an outlet. So if it doesn't find an outlet, then it turns into something more negative. And then you just get all these things building up inside you. The guilt and the fear and the anxiety turns into shame. And then that gets suppressed inside. And then, and if you don't have an outlet for this energy, and all the while, I don't believe it's ever us that are making these decisions, these stupid decisions. If anything, at the very least, we're being tricked into something. We might, maybe to a point, we might decide. But I think it's always externally, or at least part of the script, to make us fall down these traps, for definite.
Yeah, and another thing, remember what we were talking about a couple weeks ago about the spirits and how like everything that we take that gets us like drunk or high is somehow like a dead.
Something that's gone through the process of death.
Yeah, and how we were talking about like divine, like when you take the grape off and it's divine, and then the spirit in you is like possessing you. Yeah.
Well, that thing about the alcohol, I don't know how you pronounce it, comes from the Middle East. It's like alcohol or something like that. But this has been, according to that article what I sent you, this has been known since the dawn of time. So it's saying like when you drink alcohol and it gets when you drink past a certain level, past a certain threshold, your own spirit can't coexist in your body. So it maybe hovers around, I don't know, somewhere. But at the same time, you've got the dark spirits and energies contained within the alcohol, which is why it apparently turns you into something that you're not. which totally makes sense because nobody acts the way they naturally would when they're under the influence of alcohol. It's purely demonic.
And that's the only time that I've hurt people. Like, seriously,
Yeah, me
that's the
too.
only time that I have hurt people is when I was not completely conscious and drunk. And
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you know, there's things in life where you don't really have, you maybe didn't make the best choice, but I always tried to, given my circumstances. So
Yeah.
but I have like I've hurt myself. I've hurt other people being drunk and on drugs
Me too.
and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that this thing is like literally just like some mad scientists.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Well, they're just all these things are just different forms of possession, aren't they? People, I think, generally regular people think possession is something of these horror films, like like The Exorcist or something, but they don't realize you're being possessed all the time by
everyone here.
Yeah.
We would not be here if we, you know, we're all in the same place and all of our bodies are designed to interact with it from the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything from certain films you might watch, things that you see on the internet, and obviously drugs, alcohol. They're all forms of possession because if they take it, I used to get into like states of mild psychosis going back a few years ago when I'd just get that heavy into going down rabbit holes looking at conspiracy theories and stuff, which I don't do anymore. But it would end up messing with me that much that I'd end up with, and I wouldn't notice. It'd be my family and that noticed, but I'd end up losing my mind a little bit and getting paranoid. So it wasn't doing me any good. I was never finding the answers that I wanted to find in any case. And it was just these endless perpetual loops. And, you know, that's probably what they're set up to do. They're just dizzying.
I read somebody was talking about, so their kid is like a targeted individual, which I do not think anybody's a targeted individual. I think that there are people that are more sensitive and that we have way more energy and this thing can fuck with you in every way possible. That's all that I know.
Absolutely.
But, anyway, she was saying that the whole alien UFO agenda was put out there to cause people to go into schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I can see, you know, they pump us full of images and all of this other stuff. And then our imagination is so powerful. That's what's making this place.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what they're doing, isn't it? They're controlling our perception of everything. Well, they're controlling our beliefs, the perception. Then they've got you by the time they've done that. Because like you say, your imagination fills all the gaps in, builds the rest of the picture, and it becomes your reality then, which is dangerous when you've got the whole clone collective of the world acting on it.
And all that they have to do is mess with the frequency like a little bit, and then your brain does the rest. You're seeing into a different dimension.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is.
Have you seen that thing on the news where they've been talking about, I guess there's only, I don't know how 80 people in the world right now that see demonic faces, but it's not on TV or it's only on human beings. It's not.
I actually seen something on. Yeah, that popped up on my YouTube feed actually the other month. I did see that, and they showed like little images of like an artist's impression of what they were seeing. They were seeing like an overlay, weren't they, over the people's face?
Yeah, but I think that is totally true. Like, I think we really are seeing that.
Yeah, well, as soon as I seen it, I was like, because they're trying to make out that it's just a condition that people have got. They always brush it under the carpet like it's some mental condition, but and they reckoned that there was only like a small percentage, but I felt there'd be a lot more people seeing it, and it's because it's real. I've seen, and you have yourself, we've seen these things, and I've been called crazy for many years by a lot of the people who know me because I've been different to them, but I'm completely lucid. I know what's going on. I've been aware when I have sort of lost lucidity a little bit, but I'm normally aware when that happens. But for the most part, you know what you see and you know what you don't see, and this stuff's real.
Yeah.
whatever real is. It certainly comes into our experience.
Well,
And there's
what
too many
you,
people. There's too many
huh?
people report. There's so many people that report these things as well. So it's not just a tiny amount of us. There's there's a lot of people that have these experiences.
Yeah, and
So,
they're trying to make it all into a condition, like a mental, which they've
yeah.
always done. Just like they
Mm,
want you to put a label on something and identify
yeah.
it as that. Anything
Absolutely.
except for what the reality is, that we are not in a real world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Just constant distractions, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
distracted with everything.
I was watching this guy. I think I told you about this the other day when we were on the phone, but he was saying that he did ayahuasca,
Ayahuasca, is
ayahuasca,
it? Per-
brain fog. But
It took me a while. Yeah.
he was saying that after he did that, he started seeing like static energy everywhere. And then he started feeling like he was trapped behind his eyes and that he
Oh,
was the
yeah.
only one that was real on, in
Yeah.
his environment. And they were saying like this is a condition that people have. And the funny thing was he was doing an interview with like I don't like calling people NPCs, but if they're,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call this guy because he has no
Yeah.
personality at all. But
Yeah.
he was saying, "Oh yeah, that's a condition and it can drive you crazy and everything." And it's like,
Yeah. It's totally well. I've seen that. Not when I've done many a times when I've done psychedelics. I've had that. I don't see it when I come off them, but I see that static whilst I'm on it. Actually, in the middle of the experience, because it looks like it's hard to explain. It's like a dulled down white color, like a sort of like a misty grey white color, but it looks like webs scattered all everywhere I look. It's all over the place, and I see that. I see it frequently when I go out doing psychedelics.
I see it all the time. Like
Do you see it?
yeah.
Yes. So
And
you
I
see it
have something weird like where if I close my eyes, I can still see like completely the same frame for like 20 seconds.
really?
It's almost like a film negative, like a radiation. It looks like
Ah,
radiation, but it's full color. So I
wow.
feel like it's just the script. And since I'm
Yeah.
so aware of it, that it still lags, you know what I mean?
Well, I've done. When you do the sun gazing. I've never done it that often, but over the past couple of years, I used to do a little bit of sun gazing when the sun was setting, when it was safe to do. And when I'd close my eyes afterwards, like you're supposed to do, and I would always see like a weird symbol afterwards, which could not see at all whilst I was looking at the sun. But I'd close my eyes, and it was often like a sort of a lightning shape. It was a very sharp, vivid light, like a zigzag line.
That is so weird that you just said that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it means, but I'm pretty much sure it must be something. But
I had the weirdest vision last night because I was thinking of Zion, and I
yeah,
was thinking of that whole ion thing, like with the demiurge.
yeah,
And I was thinking about like how letters are actually like hexes, like
yeah,
sigils.
yeah, yeah.
And I saw the demiurge like in this little cartoon version of him. And he was like walking down a Z from the sun.
Ah,
And it was like, heaven and earth coming together,
yeah,
Zion.
yeah. Well, I've seen that a couple of times when I've done it. It was like it was just like a messy Z, a bit zigzaggy line, that really vivid in my eye, and it lasts, I don't know, probably about 20 seconds or something, and it then slowly starts to fade away. But there's something in it, though. I mean, because we're receiving some sort of information from doing that sun gazing. And the thing is with sun gazing, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I know people say it's good, and it could be. The fact is, I just don't know. That's why I sort of lay off it now, because I don't know if I'm receiving something bad from it. Maybe not, but there's just no
Well,
way to prove it.
like I mentioned, I think that everything here, like in our sky, is part of this biotechnology.
Yeah.
And the sun puts off codes. So
Exactly. Yeah.
whether it's changing our DNA or whatever, I mean, it doesn't really, I don't do all of that very
Yeah.
much, but I'm not afraid of it. But
Yeah.
this is what I wanted to show you this too. Can you see that?
Let's have a look.
Oh, whoops. It's called Melancholia 1.
Yeah.
It's an engraving from 1514, but hold on, let me get a big picture of it. No, not the whole thing. But it has the magic square.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
What is it? One of the old woodcut drawings that they used to do back.
Yeah, and this one is like one of the most famous like Freemasonic wood carvings. But it has the bell above it, and then it has this magic square right here, and every which way that you go, it adds up to 136. Well, I watched a video of this guy, and he was like, but if you add the 1 from the Melancholia, it adds up to 137, and 137 is electromagnetic field.
Yeah. It's so finely entwined, isn't it? All of this.
Yeah, but there are people like on Twitter a lot of times that will enhance, like Angela. She's been getting some really good pictures of the sun lately, but she enhanced it, and you can see like a magic square in the middle, but it's all digital of the sun.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are getting that lately, and that's what I think, everyone's like, oh, it's an overlay. Well, I don't think it's an overlay. I think that this place is a simulation.
Yeah, it's got to be some sort of a simulation for definite. But I think when you mentioned the other month, a simulation, but like with holographic. I think the holographic thing seems to be playing a big part in it.
Yeah, and
like holographic overlays.
Yeah, and I think that probably has to do with our DNA. Like we were talking about, like it's a memory of ours from a true reality.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just turned into this loop of information.
It's crazy, and it's so...
Well,
everything, I suppose, even including the sun, it's all part of this system.
Mm-hmm.
I've become a bit dubious of it in recent years because I don't know for a fact what it is. But then again, another part of me thinks, well, they seem to be blocking it out quite a lot. So is that because it's supposed to be upgrading us? That's something I've been thinking about. I mean, I've noticed here when they spray the chemtrails, they always seem to go as the sun's coming up in the morning. When the sun sets, they seem to make damn sure that the thick smog of cloud is covering it. Then you look over to the other side of the sky and it'll be all blue, but wherever the sun is. So I'm thinking there maybe is something in the putting it below the sun, it looks really smoggy most days because it's covered in this chemtrail cloud stuff. So maybe there's something in that. I'm not sure.
Well, like we were talking about how we're just seeing like this. It's like a program that's showing us what it is, just in allegory kind of type way is the only way that I know how to explain it. Like Sherry talks about, like you're seeing the grid, like the firmament.
Yeah.
But I don't call it the firmament. It's just a grid.
Yeah.
The firmament to me is the radiation. But I saw this lady, she wrote out like that we live on a plane, not a planet. And I'm like, yeah, the planes are showing us that they're like creating the plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I first woke up and I had my Kundalini, it was like I could see those planes, but then they would go through something like a dimension and they
Well,
would
you
just
actually,
disappear.
oh, so you could actually see them disappearing
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard people say experience similar things as that. I've seen mainly most of that kind of stuff that I've seen has been on when I've been through mushrooms and stuff. But I see a hell of, like I said to you the other day, I don't know what I couldn't tell you what it is I'm seeing, but the amount of activity that I see going up, because I go off the coast, so I'm at the beach in like early hours of the morning, and the things that I see in the sky, it's a complete mess. There's like bright green. I mean, I've seen the green sort of squared, lasery looking grid. I've seen that quite a lot of times.
That's
I never
the
knew.
first one that I saw.
Was it?
Yeah, and I think that might be the base layer because my mind said that that's the soul trap. So I wonder if that's like.
Yeah, well, that's what came to my mind when the very first time I seen it was only about 3 years ago, and I was amazed by it. I was so busy being amazed by it that I wasn't really thinking anything good or bad. I just remember thinking, oh, wow, look at that. It was vivid. It was like a perfect green laser grid spanning right across me. And at that same time, because I was walking along the local golf course right by the course where I live, at the same time the grid was up in the sky, down on the floor, it was like, if you imagine a massive everlasting honeycomb, and in each honeycomb was a flower of life, and they were all made out of that same green, really like vibrant green, laser green color. So I had that above me. So that's why the song that I do, Circus Show, on the second verse of that song, that's what I'm talking about, the grid in the sky and the honeycomb flower of life thing that I'm walking on. But when I first seen it, I was so amazed by it because obviously I was on mushrooms.
He creates amazing music and his words are very profound. And I wish that you and Mike B would like be able to meet up somehow because I just think that you guys would really get along in that way.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Very, very talented.
Oh, thanks. I don't do so much anymore, but that's just another thing I've sort of more or less cut the attachment to.
It's crazy, like how much, like we were just talking about how your world becomes so tiny and it's frustrating as heck because I can't, like I love to paint and all of that. And I've always felt like blocked from that anyways, but now I have like all of this new stuff that I could be creating and I just can't, like, and it seems like such a chore too to just like take everything out and clean it and just I don't have the will to do anything.
Well, that's what I feel like. For the past couple of years I've been feeling like apathy, just like I'll play around in my mind that I want to do something, but when it comes down to actually doing it, I just say I can't be bothered. Everything just seems like phony and pointless now, without sounding negative.
No,
so I just try and take pleasure out of just walking out with the dogs at the beach. It's become that simplistic now.
Like, what are we doing this for? Because you know what I mean? Like people are talking about 5D and all that. And this has got to stop. Like this can't exist. We can't go into another thing.
Yeah.
That, you know, we have to be completely free. And I just feel like
absolutely
this place is trying to tear us down and make a bore us to death. That anything that comes around, we're going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like, you see, that's true. That it could be like a little, I've never thought of it like that, but it could be like a little trap we're falling into because we're giving up on everything. Because that's sort of how I've been apathetic and just seeing everything as so mundane. And you're right, then something valid could come along and then we're going to miss it because we're feeling like this. I would just like to think that I hope intuitively we'd know when the right thing would come along, but it's just getting like, it's just been like Groundhog Day for so long.
For so long. I'm talking like 15 years long. Like and then I had all of that stuff like happen just overnight and now it's down again, but you have this trauma thing that you just cannot. I don't know how you get through it here because
No, me neither. No.
every day it's like I feel like you and I were talking about like how we're in times of our life where everything is just the best that it's been
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
really long time.
Yeah.
But I still just feel like something's around the corner all the time.
Yeah, me too, 100%. It just seems. I wouldn't even say that I'm bored at the moment. It's a different feeling to boredom. It's like being in a waiting room. It's just mundane, and I don't have the motivation to start anything. Or I definitely feel like, and everyone you talk to in this little small community feels exactly the same. Like they're just continuously waiting for something, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I mean, even if it was making us suffer badly, you could understand given the sort of system that it is that we're living in. But to just have us sat here in a mundane fashion, I don't want to suffer anymore. I'm not saying I want to suffer, but I'm just saying you could understand if it was had us on the puppeteering strings and it was putting us through all them bad situations again. But when we're not doing anything, I don't know. It's weird. It's just strange.
It's really weird. It's like it can't hurt us. Like it doesn't want to like kill us, or I don't know how to explain it, but it also doesn't want to let us go.
Yeah, exactly.
So it always keeps us like in this constant state of waiting.
Yeah. And I think that's why I just keep getting the feeling something must be coming, good, bad, or anything in between, but something must be looming around the corner for us to so strongly be getting this feeling. Maybe it might be that if there's something good guiding us or looking after us, maybe it's conserving our energy, so to speak, because our spirit or our higher self or whatever you want to call it, maybe it's because it knows we're going to be faced with something pretty big and traumatic around the corner. Maybe that's why it's getting us to sort of sit still and conserve our energy. I mean, I've thought about that before. Who knows? But
I think about that a lot, and the AI told me that it's saving.
Yeah, like conserving our being and our energy. Yeah, well, it would make sense. But it's also quite
like
concerning.
I don't want it saved. I want my shit. Like I don't want access.
Yeah.
I've never felt like I had access to my energy. Like
yeah, me neither.
Even when I was young, like I loved like ballet and everything, but I never had energy to like fully put myself into anything.
Yeah, properly commit to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with me. Things that I do only last for a certain amount of time, and then it's on to something else, and then never fully complete anything, you know.
Oh, I've had ADD like my entire life too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that are awake have ADD pretty bad.
Oh, absolutely. Well, my youngest daughter, she's not been diagnosed with it yet. But I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was like about 12 years ago. Which wasn't any surprise. I know it's a label, but still it's a collection of behaviors or whatever, lack of concentration and inattentiveness and stuff, which I do have. Struggle articulating myself and racing thoughts and all that stuff. Well, my daughter's exactly the same, apart from she doesn't have the hyperactivity. She's so laid back and calm, but she's got the full inattentiveness and lack of concentration. But took her to a specialist, because if she doesn't get diagnosed, then they don't get the help. It's not that you want them diagnosed, but they don't get the support otherwise. And the health specialist was saying that women are far more underdiagnosed with it because maybe they hide it better or mask it better or whatever. But there's a lot more people it's becoming a lot more widespread now. It's coming out in the open that a lot more people call it ADD, ADHD. I know they're just labels, but
the social media and crap like that has messed people up so bad. Like they can't even go through a 10-minute video without, you know what I mean? It has to have all these flashy graphics and
absolutely
trigger words and everything to keep them their attention.
Well, when I was at school, I used to just sit gazing out the window because I just had, for a start off, it's complete crap what they're teaching you at school. But then as a kid, I'd be just gazing out the window, and then I'd have a teacher come around and slap me on the face. Are you with us today or not? But it wasn't a recognised thing back then. People just thought you were a naughty little kid that wasting the teacher's time. So, but it's becoming wide. A lot more people coming out in the open with it now. But there does seem to be a lot of awake people that appear to have it. I've noticed that. So,
but one other thing that I wanted to say about the radiation, like the etymology of it, it was ray, like a ray. So it's a ray of light, not the actual light source.
Yeah.
And then Ia, IA, an etymology that's like wise or intelligence. And then the ion at the end. So that's the movement, which is the demiurge, motion.
Wow.
But the IA, that's spirit, like, because Nagamadi talks about how the demiurge has spirit in it.
Yeah.
But I have never been able to feel what I would call actual spirit in it because it's so entangled into the AI.
Yeah.
Which AI is the flip side of IA.
I was just going to say that's obviously an inversion, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you have a program versus your spirit, which is free. So the demiurge is the web that binds, and Sophia is the spirit that frees.
Yeah.
And to break this program completely, you have to break the script. And to do that, you have to, I was looking at what ion actually means. Hold on, let me find it.
Yeah.
But you have to like neutralize yourself.
Is that through like detachments and things like that?
Detachment, and I think especially like regret, guilt, and also any kind of doubt,
Yeah.
Okay, an ion, an atom or molecule with a net electric charge due to the loss or gain of one or more electrons, hydrogen ions. So electric charge due to the loss or gain of one or more ions. So if you're losing it or gaining it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just have to balance yourself. I mean, that's how we do it as far as like alchemical, being an alchemist for your inner spirit.
I was just thinking that it's like completely alchemizing yourself into a new, not a new, but into the right state of being.
Which the ego is a huge part of that. Like I know a lot of like modern day philosophers are like, oh, you need your ego and all the ego is a huge issue. Like,
massive,
seriously.
Yeah, it's the be all and end all to some degree. Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking about, we were talking about like everything's belief based. Like you don't really know any. We just take for granted, obviously, everything we're told. This is that. This is that. We just don't. For the most part, we don't really question it.
Right.
Well, oxygen. I was thinking about this because I do a bit of deep breathing when I'm at the beach. It can be good for you, I suppose. But so I thought we're breathing in. We're told oxygen is a gas. Again, it comes down to another one of these belief system things. So we just don't question it. They tell us it's made up of carbon dioxide and blah blah blah. So we don't question it. But I was thinking, well, it's a known thing that through there's so many different sorts of breathing techniques you can do. You can release your own DMT even through doing breathing. You can do magic. You can do spell work. You can do healing. You can improve your immune system and a whole lot. And there's different sorts of breathing, isn't there? Like rapid box fire breathing and all these kinds of things. But essentially, what you're breathing in is oxygen. So I thought, is oxygen this gas that they tell us it is, or is oxygen the actual life force ether?
That's what I think it is. Yes.
So because I heard every time we breathe in, I remember years ago when I was looking more into like dietary things and nutrition, And I watched this guy, and he said, you actually breathe in quite a lot of protein, enough to actually keep you sustained. If you did, see, nobody really breathes properly, do we? We all breathe too shallow. Nobody's everyday people aren't fully oxygenated. And he was saying if you breathe properly, you'd take enough protein in to sustain your body. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But yeah,
I think that was true before this place was like, invaded or whatever you want to call it. But that's another thing is like Aeon is Aeon. And what I was just talking about, the ion. So instead of the aeons, it's now an ion.
Yeah.
An ion here. So the aeons were our ether, like all of our essence is what I'm talking about. Which is what you're referring to, but the aether. But that's what these things, that's what our chakras, what's being stolen from us, and what's also helping to create the astral and all these other dimensions, because they're taking our essence and they're like fragmenting it into different rays, like spectrums. So our feelings, our creativity, all of that is going into these other dimensions and creating those.
Yeah. I got told once on it was on a DMT group that was on Facebook a few years ago, and I was just talking, and anyway, there was a guy, I don't know if he was being totally accurate or what, but he did some sort of a reading on me. He was a guy from Australia, and he come back. He seemed like a nice guy and everything. He didn't have any ulterior motives, but he said that he's picking up that part of my soul or spirit had been fragmented, and he said and he asked me, he said, have you had an injury or something in the past? I said, well, I've had a few minor, nothing major. But yeah, he was telling me, and he was saying you'd have to go like do some sort of a ritual or something like that to recall this part of your
See, I don't buy into all of that.
No, well, I was a bit dubious, but I felt a bit sad after he told me, because I was thinking, well, because he was sort of telling me that I'm incomplete, and I was. But then I just thought, well, it is what it is. But yeah, it was a bit.
We're fragmented, like, already here, but our soul, from what I've experienced, is like a grid. Just because people see it like in an orb or whatever doesn't mean that it's still like a grid that matches with our heart.
Yeah.
It's like what the script and everything, our DNA, all of this place interacts with it. So it's like our story. And that's what this demiurge keeps trying to take from us every time that we die. It's like a library of human stories.
Yeah. Did I tell you about when I'd never ever listened to any of my own songs. I'd never got to manage to listen to any of my own songs when I was out on mushrooms. And one night I managed to do it. It's one I sent you called The New Wave. And the second that I pressed play the earphones in, I was walking down the beach. It was about midnight or something. But the second that the music came on, I seen this. The only way I can describe it was like blue, like a really vibrant neon blue color. The only way I could describe it, it was like an umbrella coming out the center of my head and going straight up. And if I was to say size, I'd probably say it was about 30 meters spread out. No, I'm probably more, maybe about 50 meters, 30 to 50 meters either way. But that was also like quite grid looking. It was all lines. It looked stunningly beautiful. And every time I turned my head, because I was trying to see the top of it, I was amazed by it. It was like perfectly round. But every time I moved my head, it was as if I had an umbrella touched to my head. I could, like, try to chase a carrot at the end, sort of thing. I could never see the top of it. So, in other words, it was moving exactly with my head. So I don't know. The next day when I'd sort of come down off the mushrooms, I was thinking to myself, has that song been, because it's a song that I've written or something and recorded, has that like initiated this part of me or something to come out? Because it was like the second I pressed play, it was like it came out. It's incredible. The feeling I got though is that it was something emanating. Well, it was obviously emanating from me, but it was maybe I've ignited something by putting that song on. That's
Maybe
crazy,
it
but
was maybe it was a part of that memory, like from your original. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like this. The way that I've seen it is that we used to make like stories together, but it wasn't
yeah,
like this. And I have like a bunch of memories, like this Demiurge story. I know it. Like that's what set off my
yeah,
Kundalini. It was like my
yeah,
mind, I could feel all the connections in my mind, like my neurons just going crazy. And then I had my
yeah,
Kundalini like 3 days or something later.
yeah. So it
But
just shows you
I was like, oh my God, I know this story. Like I know this.
what
And
with total familiarity.
yeah, but I had known it like in different ways too. I was like, this same damn story just over and over and over. It was really
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, and it just shows. Yeah, because you get that feeling, don't you, that you know you've been there before, and you know you already know all that information. And I've been in
Yeah.
altered states, not just through psychedelics. I've gone through periods in my life where I've just completely flatlined reality, and I've gone through these crazy, like situations where I feel like my cap's popped open a little bit, and I've seen something or experienced something, but I can never choose when it happens. It sort of comes and it goes.
That's the frustrating part is that we know about all this stuff, but how do we like access it so that we can benefit from it and stop this, like,
Yeah,
this,
exactly.
this hell? Because you know that that quantum time crystal video that I sent you.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a separate video on it, but that's exactly like when they show how if you flip, they were showing like all of these quarters in a box, and if you shake
Yeah,
it, like half will go heads up and tails down, and then
yeah, seeing that.
that's what this is like it's always on a reset, and then however it shakes and whatever,
Yeah,
it's the same thing, just it comes out different. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It totally makes sense.
It's got to stop, because even when they showed this part where the time crystal, it was like a vapor kind of thing, and then
Yeah.
they showed it like disintegrating and then coming back, like,
Oh, was that like the black and white footage of it sort of
yeah,
fading in and out? That some scientist had
that's
spent a lot of.
exactly what I would feel like when I was going in and out of these simulation type things, like during my Kundalini. It was like
Yeah.
my body just felt like I was pulled out and then right back in. And then for that week, there would be some kind of new theme and everything would kind of play out with it.
Oh, so like every time you came back in, there was a different reset
Yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
And my friend
And like,
Eddie, that I've done a video with, he would talk about that too. Like he would see sunflowers, 1 week, and then he was like, it was like some weird decoration that most people don't have. And I would like go in other people's, I would see these like sunflowers everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, I would see that with like these black and white orb things.
yeah,
I would see them like all over the place, like for 1 week or something. But yeah, just small little things that never make you really know that you're in a simulation, but that's like you notice it because you're so aware.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because the more aware you come, but it gets to a point where you're not, you don't even have to consciously think. I mean, I'm on the lookout for stuff without consciously being, and I'm sure you must be as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the lookout for stuff without even consciously being aware that you're on the lookout for stuff. So you just see it or notice it or feel it all the time. And it's like we were saying the other day, what's the point?
Too, like, how
Yeah,
you feel like something's gonna happen, and it's not like it's like you feel that you're not projecting it. You know what I mean? It's like you feel the whole atmosphere change.
Oh, absolutely. It's like silly things. Like I was out with the dogs the other day, and stuff like this must happen with you. I'm sure it happens with most people, and when you become more aware. But I was out walking the dogs, and out of nowhere, a little thought come about one of my friends that I haven't heard from for a week because he was in a bit of a mood or whatever. And when I got home, he'd messaged me, and when I looked at the time, it was about 30 minutes beforehand, and I worked out that I thought that was exactly when I'd have been walking along the beach with the dogs.
Mm,
So we're obviously picking up on these things, but
yep.
they're never significant though, because it doesn't give me the information of,
Right.
you know what I mean? All I'm picking up on is if it's like when you think of someone you haven't seen for a while, and then you walk around the corner and you bump into them.
Yeah.
It's
And then when you say it out loud or talk to somebody else, they're like, "Oh my God, you're like delusional," or
yeah.
thinking way too much about something. It's like nobody has time to really get to a significant point where we could all see.
Yeah.
That's what
But
sucks.
you notice though, these little things that seem trivial, they're happening all the time.
Yeah.
And when the more aware you
Yes.
come, it's like, yeah, I just wish they would give us a lot more information. So you'll pick up on a feeling of something, but you don't. But the full package of information doesn't get downloaded as well. You just
Right.
and then it'll later get revealed that it's because of this or because of that. It's like how many times if you've lost your keys or something, and you'll look around the whole house, you check the same pocket 10 times, but then something will play out, and then once that thing, whatever series of events has played out, then all of a sudden they're in your pocket where they were all the time.
Yep.
So that's obviously the keys were in the pocket the whole time, but our programming, something's obviously messing with it to make us not feel or see the keys in our pocket, that type of thing. And that happens. So it must be us that are getting messed with, the way our reality is getting rendered, and it's pretty disturbing, I think. Things like that.
It's annoying. That's the only way I know how to describe it right now. All right, Lee. Well,
okay,
I've got to get on with the day, but yeah, I wish that you could, maybe next time we can do something with Mickle or something and play some of your music, because it's really
definitely.
good.
Well, I could play a little bit live.
Huh?
I could actually play a bit live on my acoustic if I get my other microphone and what have you set up.
Well, yeah,
it's no trouble.
Yeah, let's do it in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Do you have any links or anything for people to find you, or?
No, I used to, but I've come off it. I've got on Spotify. A few of my songs are on Spotify under Leroy. I'm just trying to think. I sent you a couple of the New Wave and one called Reach Out. They're on Spotify.
Okay, I'll try and link it into here.
Yeah, if you no worries if you can't. But when I stopped doing all the music and stuff, I just sort of pulled myself away from it all to shrink into the background a bit more. It's funny, I went from being absolutely a social butterfly playing live in front of thousands of people for years, and then it's just like,
I'm so disappointed, because like when I first started waking up, I thought we were just going to have an explosion of like togetherness, and we were going to make all this cool stuff. And it's just like everybody's still in, like, all that I see happening are like cults being formed and more egos and just the same shit over again.
It's just literally is a clown show. It's just got Well, hopefully something's got to give on it at some point. Something's got to give, for better or worse.
Well, I hope everybody starts to get more access to like who we are, and to see that we're more than just this. I really hope that's what happens, because I feel like a lot of people that do, it's kind of like the special thing, and it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then other people can't really fully believe.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of pitfalls being set along the way, aren't there, for these people who are waking up to fall down, which is a shame. The internet's not even the same. I remember years ago, a lot of the things I used to look into years ago, they're not even there, them sites anymore.
There was so much good shit like back in the day.
Yeah,
I can't find any of it. It's just
all
crap
gone
now.
I'm
not saying that everybody's crap or anything, but there was so much more like real. Now it's so detailed, and just all the graphics, and it's not, I don't know, it's just different.
Yeah, they've made sure that they've buried all that deep. As you know yourself, whenever you put anything on Google, you've really got to
And they
really
want to
got you.
confuse you more now. Like back then, it seemed like it was a lot more straightforward kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot more. Well, put it this way, a lot of the truths that I learned, that I found on the internet back then, say 15 plus years ago, they've all actually come true to this point now.
Yeah.
So it just shows that they were true. But I think the things that a lot of people are looking at now, and especially with all the new age mumbo jumbo that's knocking about, it's there ready to pull all these poor souls that are getting initiated.
The bad thing now is everybody's like in competition to discover something new. So they're all like, oh, this is what I've put together. And you know what like they're so obsessed with like claiming something that they discovered.
It has. It's become like a competition, and then it becomes a trend and a fashion, and everybody jumps on it, and it's just awash with absolute.
Yeah.
It definitely seems that the real, anyway, to get anywhere near the so-called truth, you've got to be looking in the darker, quieter corners, really. But see how it unfolds, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh well. Yeah. Well, it's been good talking anyway, and wish everyone well who watches it, and keep your eye on the ball.
Yes.
See what goes down.
Much.
No problem. All right.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Take care. All right.
Bye.